dreamt 2 dreams in succession. In the first, as we know, 7 skinny cows devoured 7 large cows on the banks of the Nile. In the second, 7 scraggly stalks of grain consumed 7 healthy-looking stalks. What is astonishing is that when Paro asked for an interpretation, all of his expert soothsayers were stumped by the relatively simple dreams. Isn't it more logical that cows and grain should represent 7 years of harvest instead of 7 daughters, like they try to say? Rabbi Yoshua Leib Diskin suggests a rather novel approach. It must be that these men's expertise lay in the field of astrology, enabling them to foresee the future. Consequently, they did not envision 7 years of starvation because, thanks to Yosef's preparations, Egypt in fact did not starve. Nor could they predict the 7 years of abundance, since due to the careful rationing, this too was not actually enjoyed by the people. As a result, during Yosef's interpretations, the other experts were unconvinced, since stars only show what will happen, not what might happen. Thus, sensing their skepticism, Yosef added his words to say, "And now, let Paro appoint a wise and understanding man to oversee Egypt." In essence, Yosef was telling Paro, these events have eluded your stargazers because they are at this point merely a threat, and stargazers cannot perceive this. However, if you prepare properly, these events will never come to pass. Absolutely remarkable. Yosef's words were accepted, for now was understood why the stars had not provided the information. In Europe of the 19th century, it produced a great many Gedolei Yisrael and Talmidei Chachamim. Rabbi Aaron Karliner was one of these great giants and counted among the 5 most famous Hasidic leaders of this era. It was said about him that he never discussed anything during learning, and the intensity and the love of his Torah was such that while he learned, it was as if the entire world ceased to exist. It happened one day as Rabbi Aaron sat in his ramshackle home, swaying fervently in front of his rickety stender. He came across an impossibly difficult Gemara. He hadn't encountered such a difficult piece complete with Mefarashim and Rishonim, and he felt as though he hit a brick wall. As he was deep in thought, he didn't sense anyone coming in from behind him until a white envelope was placed on the Gemara in front of him. Unwilling to turn around in the middle of learning to see who brought the envelope, Rabbi Aaron simply removed the letter and perused its contents. Much to his disbelief, the letter clearly elucidated the Gemara that he was confounded by. It addressed every one of his questions and answered them brilliantly. As he turned around to see who brought him the letter, he looked back, and a man standing behind his chair was watching him silently. Rabbi Aaron looked at the man and recognized him instantly. He suddenly felt as if he was going to faint, for the man standing behind him, the bearer of this brilliant letter, was none other than the city's Baal Hagalah, the wagon driver who passed away 5 years before. When Rabbi Aharon realized this neshama had come down to see him while he was fully awake, he began to tremble. "What brought you to me with this particular letter?" "I don't know who gave me this letter," the wagon driver replied. "I was sent from Shemayim." "Rabbi, I'll be honest with you. I didn't have many merits in my life. Therefore, I sit alone in a room in Gan Eden. Whenever there's something that needs to be revealed to a tzaddik in a tangible way, I am given the job." "What have you done that you were zocheh to this shalichut?" asked Rabbi Aharon. "I'm unable to reveal everything that goes on in Shemayim, but I'll share a little with you. When I passed away, it was decreed that due to my abundant averot and very few mitzvot, I would need to return to earth as a Gilgul and given a chance to rectify my actions. I was terrified to return to this world, the world of the living, as perhaps my situation would be worse this time. As I stood trembling, a malach stepped forward and declared that it wasn't proper for me to be a Gilgul. I am the malach who was created from an amazing mitzvah the wagon driver did, and I testify that he does not deserve the pain of repeating this journey." The wagon driver continued, "One day, I was driving through the woods in a dangerous part of town, and I noticed a person lying half dead on the ground, and I wanted nothing more than to speed away when I thought perhaps maybe it was a Jew that was beaten by thugs. I was right. Immediately I loaded him onto my wagon, and I make a long story short, I stayed with him in the nearest town for a full week, and I nursed him back to health. I then gave him whatever money I had, and I continued on my way. This was the mitzvah creating the malach that gave me a room in Gan Eden. And with those last words, the wagon driver disappeared. Reb Aharon suddenly understood the Gemara in Avodah Zarah that says, Bechi Rebbe va'amar yesh koneh olamo b'sha achad. Why would Rebbe cry when learning that one can acquire his portion in Olam Haba in one moment? Isn't that a remarkable thing? Reb Aharon finally understood from the story with the wagon driver that Rebbe was crying because of the word olamo, his world. If a person is just a wagon driver in this world, then even if he merits Olam Haba, what will his reward be? He'll continue to be a wagon driver, delivering messages from one world into the next. Yosef Hassadi clearly knew from a tender young age that his decisions and his preparations would shape destiny. He did everything in his power to be anything but a wagon driver. These decisions landed him the single most powerful position in the world at that time. Mika Amcha Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.